Sydney Martin joins us live now in Huntsville after law enforcement held a briefing on their response to last night's protest. Sydney.
Naja, today, Huntsville Police Chief Mark McMurray, along with Sheriff Kevin Turner and Madison Police Chief Dave Jernigan, walked us through what happened last night at the peaceful protest as it ended and how some people refused to leave downtown. Take a listen.
All of those who were asked to leave, who were there for the right purpose, they all left. The ones who stayed began donning all their protective equipment. They put on their eye protection, they put on their gas mask, they broke out their first aid kit, their water, their milk, their preparations for combat. We do not want to go hand-to-hand combat with any citizen. And so we stood the line, we continued with the noise, we continued with the warnings. They refused. They continued to organize. We could see the organizers going from person to person, handing out things, ramping up the emotions even more. They refused to leave. We gave final warnings. 90 minutes into this warning, begging and pleading, please go home. We need an orderly retreat. This is not an organized event. Sheriff and I have declared this an unlawful event, and we had the authority to do that. They refused. And so what you saw was a typical way of dispersing with the least amount of force. They wanted to fight. We don't want to fight. We just want them to go home. You ask why gas? Gas is a long-distance irritant dispersal. It's the easiest way to make you uncomfortable there without harming you. That's all it does. You smelled it. Y'all were uncomfortable with it. You were really uncomfortable if you were down on the street. 24 arrests last night. So 20 of them went for disorderly conduct, refusing to leave. They were in the park, refusing to go. We had moved them around the town several times, finally got tired of chasing them. They were throwing things at us, throwing ice bottles at us, throwing rocks at us, picking up things as they go. I'm sorry, but they're about to break out windows, which they did break out a couple store business windows. I have several cars that were damaged. I have 2 officers that were injured, one of them with light trauma to the head, and one of them who says he's okay. He had a helmet on, but he was beat down in the head several times with some objects, and he is okay, and they're both back at work today. But like I said, light injuries this time that we didn't have on Monday. When you see the anarchist symbol on something, their number one motive is to disrupt any type of government. That's their motto. So anarchists will use any method available to overthrow any government of any political party. This was not the NAACP, let me be clear, okay? Had nothing to do with it. These are the groups that are chasing around all demonstrations all over the country right now and causing disruptions and damage.
Sydney, you were there last night from the beginning. What is your perspective on what happened and on the officers' response?
Well, Naja, you could clearly see one of those protesters picked up one of those smoke canisters that Huntsville police deployed originally to help disperse the crowd and actually threw it back at the officers. We saw people running in every direction as officers continued to try to push these people back, get them out of the area. We even felt the tear gas ourselves as they were deploying it on these protesters, trying to get them to go home and get back to their cars. Naja.
Sydney, there were pictures on social media, someone claiming they were injured by a rubber bullet. Did police fire any weapons other than gas and smoke at protesters last night that you know of?
So we know police used rubber bullets on Monday. They were wearing them with their protective gear last night. Now, I asked Huntsville police earlier today if any of the protesters were injured. We obviously heard Huntsville Police Chief Mark McMurray say 2 of his officers were injured. They told us they've seen that picture, but nobody's come forward saying that they were injured or tried to file a report that they were injured at the protest last night. So they simply can't confirm that right now.
Do you think this will deter them from issuing permits in the future?
Huntsville Police told us that people have the right to peacefully protest. And as you heard, Chief Mark McMurray said, it wasn't the NAACP. Their protest permit had ended at 6:30. The people that marched to the courthouse square and who refused to go home were not part of the original protest. And they said they actually encourage peaceful protest here in Huntsville.
Well, Sydney, we know you had an incredibly long night, and thank you so much for your terrific reporting. We really appreciate all that you do.